All right, Mariner fans, we're on week 4 of our Meet the Staff Monday feature. I am Joe Gusser, your sports information director. This week, we welcome in one of the newest members to our coaching staff, cross country track and field head coach Kayla Koelbel. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I like the Meet the Staff Monday since I'm new here as well, so I'm getting to know people a little better, and now everyone gets to know me a little better.
Awesome. Yeah, gotten great feedback so far, so people like it. That's good. Um, all right, first off, Coach, tell us how your first few months have been at the academy. Starting in the middle of a pandemic, that must have been interesting. How's it been for you getting acclimated since early May?
Yeah, it's definitely been unique. I don't think I ever pictured changing jobs being quite so different. Definitely just with all the restrictions and things like that. And I hadn't been on campus right away. So not only was I moving and trying to get down here, but then I hadn't seen campus since months before during my interview process. So I kind of got on campus. I was like, I barely remember the campus. I got to get used to everything again. And but everyone's been really helpful. And there were pros and cons. It gave me a little bit more time to move since things were virtual and kind of eased me into certain things. And then other things, as soon as we got off the ground running here, I just had to jump right in. So, not meeting the team right away was hard, but we're slowly, cross country's going. I got to meet them now and waiting on some big track and field meets since we do have a big roster. So.
Awesome. Good stuff. Tell us a little bit about your background. You're former D3 student athlete at Cortland, very successful career up there. You had a couple of coaching stops before you got here. Take us through how you came to Kings Point.
Yeah, so back in high school, I was a 3-season athlete. I did volleyball, indoor track, and outdoor track. So I kind of always knew I would want to compete at the college level my whole career. I decided to narrow it down eventually and stick with track and field and chose SUNY Cortland and had an amazing 4 years there as a student athlete. I had a great time, great people there, great mentors there to really help me get into my coaching career. And they're one of the few schools that actually offer a major in coaching. So I didn't know my freshman year exactly what I would study. I just knew I wanted to stay in athletics. And my mind kept saying, how can I do that somehow other than AT, PT? And then I talked to an advisor who was like, we have coaching. I had no idea. So as a freshman, I was naive. I didn't know. And they said it's a kinesiology major. It's very actually science-based. And that was something else I was interested in. So got right into that and studied kinesiology of coaching for 4 years while I competed there. And then went on to get a master's there in sport management while assistant coaching with the team still. So it really worked out for me. I'm so glad that they had that major and it was just meant to be. And then with my athletic career there, I had a great 4 years. We won some SUNYAC championships. I won some events myself individually. I got to go to nationals. So it was a great experience.
Great. And talk about your time at Sacred Heart too, right? Your stop right
Yeah,
before.
so after I completed my master's at my alma mater, I looked for my first coaching job outside of Cortland, and I came across posting for Sacred Heart University. I had wanted to kind of get back towards that area. So I applied and fortunate enough to get my first full-time assistant coaching job. I kind of transitioned events I was working with. So at Cortland, I was predominantly sprints, hurdles, multi-events. And then at Sacred Heart, I kind of took over assisting with the distance events, cross country, and steeplechase was kind of the area I focused on contributing to because of my hurdle background. So really had a great time there, was there for 2 years. We had a really tough loss that first year. There was an error in the 4x4 and a DQ, and we ended up losing the championship by a half a point, which is pretty darn close in track and field. So we were out for some vengeance last year, but unfortunately, COVID took that opportunity away, which was really unfortunate. But I think that the team's still doing well, and I think that they're able to come back there this year and really kind of finally attend to that issue. And we'll see what they do this year. I'm still rooting for them. And then I wanted to move on from assistant coaching. I was really looking for a head coaching position, and everything just worked out with Kings Point and the location and the timing. And so that's how I ended up here.
Great. And what aspects of coaching that you've had in your previous 2 stops do you look to bring to Kings Point? It seems like you did a lot of behind the scenes work, the budgeting and logistics stuff, and that can definitely help translate on this level. But talk about, just the caliber of the student athletes you coach and the success you had and how you want to bring it here.
Yeah, I think I really enjoyed working in two different conferences at two different divisions. So the Northeast Conference and the SUNYAC Conference, Division 3 and Division 1. As you mentioned, I got to see the behind the scenes of everything else that coaches need to do. My position at Sacred Heart was kind of explained to me even in my interview process as a head coach stepping stone position, and it truly was. I got to know, an entire team and take care of an entire team, and as you mentioned, do budgeting and things like that for the team and equipment management, and then that was all aside from the coaching. So, but as for the coaching, I think it's really been a pleasure to coach conference champions at the Division 1 level, but also All-Americans at the Division 3 level at SUNY Cortland. So being able to assist with both of those groups just gives you a different outlook on how track and field is across the United States. And I think it really prepared me to take on a team of my own coming here to Kings Point. So.
Great. I know you talked about it already, but talk about your days as a student athlete. Some of the greatest memories, your favorite events that you were in, school and conference record-setting champion, national qualifier, and you maintained a very successful track record in the classroom as well.
Yeah, I think we could all probably talk about those days forever, right? So, we bring a lot of that into our coaching, I think, too, as coaches who were former athletes. You're constantly thinking of how you felt during certain situations and carrying that over, really understanding what these student athletes are going through. But, oh, geez, some of my favorite memories. I guess, unique to the SUNYAC conference, they didn't have the pentathlon, which I would consider my primary event as an athlete back then, as an actual event in the conference championship. So you could compete in it, qualify for nationals, but it wasn't a part of our conference championship until my junior year. So when it became a part of that, the decision was, you're going to do individual events, we're going to do the multi, and of course I loved the multi. I wanted to go with it, so I went with it. So it's kind of just a fun fact I get to carry on for the rest of my life. That was the first one to win it for the SUNYAC conference, which was really cool. And then I got to defend that title my senior year. So that's just it's a really good memory for me because it's just something that'll never change. Someone might break my record, someone might do something better, but there'll never be another first person to win it. So it's pretty cool. Little fun fact I enjoy, I guess. And then, of course, qualifying for nationals, which for me was a little unique my senior year. You don't really want to do 3 pentathlons back to back, 3 weekends in a row. It's a lot on the body. So we didn't want to do 3 in a row, or at least 2 in a row, and then have a little gap before nationals. But I didn't know if I was going to make it with the score I had. So we got to ECACs in Staten Island at Ocean Breeze, and I started the pentathlon. And I got into a couple events. We did hurdles, we got to high jump, and I'm sitting there and we're trying to check all this. My coaches were the notebooks were out. They were trying to do their best to see if I really had to do the full pen or if my other would qualify, my other score. And they really helped me out. And I got the good news that I wouldn't have to finish it. And then I was going to make it middle of that meet. So then I kind of took over a leadership and coaching role and was there for the other pentathletes and the other athletes that day and got to stop my event and pull out and look forward to nationals while helping coach them and seeing who else could make it there. So that was a lot of fun too. So those are 2 really special memories, I think, for myself. And then, they're not all successful memories though too. You think back on times when things didn't go the way you had planned. In the multi, if you don't get a score in one event, you get 0 points. So one year I fouled out of the javelin and I didn't get any points, so I ended up still coming in 3rd in the conference, but that one sticks with me because it happens to the best of us, but I'm definitely able to pull from those experiences for my student athletes now as a coach. So
exactly, everything's a learning experience, right? Exactly. What can you take away from the success you had at Cortland and relate it to our student athletes here at the Academy? We've had some great success ourselves in recent years.
Yeah, I think it's great for me because I was a Division 3 athlete. I know that experience. Of course, I didn't do it at the academy, which is a whole new learning curve for me. Seeing all the extra things that these midshipman athletes go through on a daily basis that I have to account for in their training and adapt them to that. And but just being a student athlete and knowing all the pressure that you have there, adding the regimental duties and realizing that, I have to, as a coach, revolve my training around all of that, not just one or the other. So I think being a student athlete myself definitely helps. I know the pressure of trying to keep up with your academics. I know the pressure of meets every weekend and traveling and how much of a toll it takes on someone. So I think I can I can definitely try to accommodate things better from having Division III experience myself. And I also know the determination and the pull to win and to be stellar in your conference as well. So.
Great. And talk about the team. You've been able to conduct some cross country practices the past few weeks. What have you seen from them, and what goals would you like to see them set for the years to come?
Yeah, so we finally got to start practice, which is great. We're following a lot of different rules and regulations and, not going off campus in a certain number of groups, and they're really handling it well. I know it's tough. I know that for a while they couldn't even run off campus, so they couldn't wait for practice. I couldn't wait for practice because that's our favorite part as coaches. We don't want to be in the office all day. We want to be out on the track, out on the field. So every day, it's both educational, but also funny. We laugh a lot because I'm learning a new word, a new abbreviation every day.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a different time comment. Like, Coach, we have this, we have this. I'm like, what are these things? You can't just tell me you have it. So they're teaching me along the way, and they're all super helpful. I think we have a really dedicated group, especially a group who's willing to say, you know what, we might not have, a competition every weekend this season. We might not have, certain things were already taken away from us, that national championship opportunity, things like that. But we still want to come here as a group, as a team, and we still want to practice together, and we still want to compete against each other every day, and build those friendships and still compete. And, whether or not we're still going day by day, we hope we will get to compete maybe later in the fall. But, they know it's day by day, and they know that, the decisions are out of our hands because of what's going on. But the fact that they're still willing to show up every day, at the right time, do the right stuff, and do extra. I mean, that just says a lot about the caliber athlete that I get to deal with here and right now during these times. A senior could very easily say, oh, we're not really competing this season. It's not a real season. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to do something else. But this group has just come together, and they're like, Coach, we're here. We want to practice. We're going to do all of this and more. And so it's a really great group, and I'm learning a lot from them. And it's been a lot of fun. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're a different type of kid. The kids here, young adults here, are definitely a different breed. It's definitely.
Yeah, it's excellent. And I was fortunate enough to inherit, a very winning team when it comes to conferences. They've got a history of success in the Skyline Conference, but I want to, I've expressed to them that, the goal isn't just to win the conference. The goal is to try to get individuals to nationals, try to make some more waves at ECACs and IC4As and things like that. So we've definitely got bigger goals when COVID allows us to compete consistently. And so we're working on that, and I think everyone's on the same page. So
that's great. I can't wait to see the success continue. So what else do you do for the department aside from coaching? What classes are you teaching, and how have they been going?
Yeah, so I just started, teaching for the first time this year while head coaching. So I'm working in basic swim and first aid. So two classes that I'm a little familiar with first aid. We've got to do our certifications every year as coaches, and I really enjoyed the classes I took in regards to athletic training and things like that back in college. But swim, I only took about one swim class, and but they asked me if I'd be willing to learn and get different certifications and become a swim instructor, and I'm all for it. So I've been assisting with my first basic swim class this semester, and we're outside in the pool, and it's going well so far. I think it's really enjoyable. I think basic swim is a course where coaches, we're teaching, but we get to be coaches because we're coaching an athletic event essentially. So that's a lot of fun.
Nice. Coach, tell us about yourself. What are some of your hobbies? What's going on in your life right now outside of Kings Point? Anything exciting?
Yeah. So let's see, hobbies. Anytime I can get to a lake or fresh water, I would love to spend the whole day there or vacation there. That's my kind of vacation. I'm more of a lake than a beach person. I know, weird because I'm on Long Island. Big freshwater fisher. What else? I love to read. I don't get a lot of time to when we're in season year round, but in the summer I try to sneak in as much reading as I can. Favorite authors, probably Jodi Picoult. Let's see. And then things going on. Well, obviously I just moved back to Long Island, so that's been fun. Got a new apartment. We just got a cat. So
Nice.
That's fun. I've been waiting to get another cat. I'm a cat person. I'm also engaged, so we're planning a wedding. So that's exciting. So yeah, I think that's the list of things going on, I suppose, aside from the new job. And then I actually just found out recently that our high school volleyball team, our 2011, I believe it was, state team, we went to states went to Kings Park High School. We're getting inducted into the Kings Park Athletic Hall of Fame this year. So
Awesome.
hopefully another thing to celebrate. So
Awesome.
all
And you
good
share an
things.
office right down the hall from me with Coach Geyser. So, you can probably share some tips with him too.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
I got to let them know.
nice. Coach, why running? What does it all mean to you? How did this become your passion?
Yeah, I think a lot of track and field cross country athletes, every time I talk to a recruit, we all have similar stories of we were the strongest or the fastest when we were in elementary school on the playground, and then we got into these very team-oriented sports, and we were always the fastest or we were always the strongest, and we were good athletes, but it always stood out that we were good at something specific. And so we found track and field, since we could specialize a little bit and individualize more. And I think I did the same thing. My father was never part of a real organized running team, but he just enjoyed running. He did a lot of road races when he was in his early 20s. And so when he had me, he'd go for a run down the street. And as a little kid, I'd kind of run like a quarter mile and then turn around and then he'd keep going. And then as I got older, that turned into, hey, I want to run. I want to do this. And so just started to pick it up and joined cross country when I was in middle school. And then eventually, volleyball, and then did track and field. And slowly but surely realized that, running was fun, but I think I could specialize in other events. And that's how it started with hurdles and high jump and got into the multi. So I did know that I was a multi before I even left high school. I went to states for it twice. And then hurdles once indoor as a senior, but I went to states twice for the pentathlon, and that was kind of my thing. So I realized it was going to be unique to find a college that was willing to really help me focus on that. So I lucked out at Cortland, and just ever since then, I just knew I'd want to be involved in it for the rest of my life. And seeing college coaches and what they did was just so unique to me. It was different than high school. You're dealing with a little bit different of an athlete, a little bit older, a little bit more mature, with goals of possibly doing this for life. So it interested me. And so it's just, I've always had a passion for it since that. So
That's awesome. What's your favorite event personally?
oh
You're a
boy.
pentathlete, heptathlete. You've competed in many events. What's the one you really get hyped for?
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's a tough one because I guess most people would say, since I have a record at Cortland for the 60 hurdles, that hurdles must be your favorite event. But I think I panicked the most over that one and got the most anxiety pre-race for that one. So it probably wasn't my favorite, which is funny. But oh geez, it's so hard because the multi really is as a whole my favorite event. But I guess probably high jump was,
Okay.
is and was still one of my favorite to compete in and to coach. It's just very unique. It's very technical. It's very biomechanics, physics oriented. It's you got to think about things a little differently. So I've always enjoyed it, and I'm short, so I was always able to say the joke, well, I've jumped my height. So, so I always enjoyed that one. But coaching wise, I love to coach high jump. But I also like to coach the shot and the hurdles. So a little bit of everything. That's why it was time to be a head coach and be able to get my hands in it all. So
Nice. Yeah. From my perspective, the high jump is, I get the best pictures from them. I can get
yeah.
up and, get, right under the bar, and
Yeah,
it's
right. It's a lot of
great.
fun. So.
Yeah. We'll close it out. You telling us the best piece of advice you ever received. What was it? Something you'd like to convey to the team or anyone else you encounter.
Yeah, I think in terms of athletics, I think my college coach, something he always just kind of mentioned beginning of the year in our team meeting was, there's a sacrifice for success that happens when you choose to be an NCAA athlete. And, I think just that simple 3 words, sacrifices for success, applies throughout our whole lives in every area. There's things that you might miss out on, other opportunities and other things that people are doing. You miss out on some social aspects of the college career. You're not sitting there going to the parties. You maybe miss any just regular social gathering. You miss being a part of a different club or activity because you're an NCAA athlete and you're traveling and you've got to keep up on your academics in order to compete. And so you're putting a lot of time and effort into something, but you're making those sacrifices to be successful in an area that you've chosen to prioritize because you have a passion for it. So I think just knowing that in any portion of your life, if you got a passion for something, then you might need to make some sacrifices to succeed in it, but it's going to be worth it because that's what you've chosen to prioritize in your life. So I think that's something that I always say to my student athletes moving forward. And then, my coaching philosophy myself, I think really revolves around that passion for sport. I want people who want to be here. I think that's something else I've heard throughout my career, is that you can't make someone want something. They have to want it for themselves. And I think that's also true in life and on the track. You know, if someone else doesn't want it completely and they're not all in and they're not trusting the process, as a coach or as a captain or someone leading these people, you can only show them that it's worth it from your own standpoint and give the best advice you can. But at the end of the day, they have to want it themselves to really put in the effort and the time that it takes and make those sacrifices. So
Yeah.
I think it's something we can all think of, that it's okay to sacrifice some things for other things. And hopefully it helps us succeed. So
Yeah, that's definitely a great lesson. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. This is
yeah,
really
thank you
awesome
so
stuff.
much for having me.
Yeah, Mariner fans, now you know more about head cross country track and field coach Kayla Koelbel. All right, Coach.
Yep.
Enjoy
All
the
right.
rest of
Thank
your
you
day.
so much, Joe.
All right, bye.